Hi, good morning, Chair. Can we also do an audio check, please?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Chen, can we also get an audio check?
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Okay, Chair, we can begin.
Okay, just give me 1 minute, Ali. I got to find some reference that I wanted to cite. So,
No problem.
what is this? Okay, thank you. I hereby call this meeting of the Reapportionment Commission to order. It's 10 a.m. It's now 10:01 a.m. on January 21st, 2022. This meeting is being conducted by video conference and telephone. I would like to remind the commissioners to keep their cameras on for the duration of the meeting. Will Acting Secretary Ali 10 please take the roll?
Chair Muguishi,
Present.
Commissioner Chipchase,
Present.
Commissioner Chen,
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy is excused, Commissioner Nakota,
Here.
Commissioner Nishimura,
Present.
Commissioner Nonaka is excused, Commissioner Ono,
Present.
and Commissioner Rathbun is also excused. Chair, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. That's great. Let's see. Commissioners, pursuant to Act 220, Session Laws of Hawaii 2021, you are required to disclose if anyone is present with you for this meeting. Commissioners, is anyone present with you for this meeting?
No.
No, Chair.
No.
Okay, I'll disclose. I have my Assistant Vice President of Government and External Relations, Matthew Sasaki, present with me in the room. Thank you. Additionally, pursuant to Act 220, we will be meeting remotely using interactive conference technology. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the Office of Elections website at elections.hawaii.gov shortly after the conclusion of this meeting. As a reminder to the public, your microphone will be muted until you are called upon. Commissioners, because we are missing a couple of commissioners today, and I want to make sure we get to some agenda items while we certainly have quorum, I'm going to take agenda item 6 out of order, which is discussion and potential action on the January 11th, 2022 letter from the Hawaii State Senate Standing Committee on Government Operations regarding informational briefing and reapportionment. As you recall, yesterday, we took action on this, declining both requests from the Senate committee to add back into the extraction number, or to reduce the extraction number by the number of Hawaii military stationed abroad, and also by the number of students who are studying abroad. We also declined to use the methodology used by the Kansas Office of Election to approximate the number of permanent residents in the state of Hawaii. I wrote the letter, the draft letter to the Senate in response, as was requested of me of the commission. And I did want to make sure that I characterized to the commission correctly what our position was. And I also wanted to make sure that all commissioners had a chance to add to that record so that we are, properly reflecting what we decided yesterday. So if you don't mind, I am going to just briefly summarize the rationale that we gave for our decisions. For request number 1, which we discussed both in open session and executive session, the commission voted unanimously to decline to reduce the non-permanent extraction number of either the military or students in the manner proposed by the request. The commissioners articulated multiple reasons for declining this option, including data uncertainty, the fact that it did not appear to be reasonably reliable in assigning individuals to basic island units or census tracts to attribute these people, differing population numbers to congressional and legislative redistricting and reapportionment, and significantly extending the timeline for completion of a final plan, endangering both the 2022 election and the Supreme Court deadline. In addition, some commissioners, myself as chair included, believe that there is legal risk to adding people to the total population of the state as counted by the United States Census, who may not have even been domiciled in the state of Hawaii in 2020, both issues which are addressed in Act 14. So for that first part, for request 1, I just wanted to verify with the commissioners for discussion now that have accurately reflected our position and our discussion.
Yes, Chair, I believe it does.
Thank you, Commissioner Chipchase. Any other commissioners want to add anything? Commissioner Ono?
Yes, Chair, I too agree that properly characterizes the reasoning behind our vote. I also wanted to say that Act 14 talks about, and this is what you're essentially saying, says that for purposes of legislative reapportionment, a permanent resident means a person having the person's domiciliary in the state. So college students, if they are away, indeed away, they sleep most of the time, wherever they're going to college. Even if they may have the intent to be a Hawaii resident or, have their residence as Hawaii, they are actually away most of the time and are therefore not counted in the Hawaii census. I think one of the commissioners raised this point. So this isn't my original idea, but the census was taken during the pandemic and many college students were at home in Hawaii doing college remotely. So we have no idea how many of them in fact were counted in the census here in Hawaii and may in fact be part of the population base that we're already dealing with. So I just wanted to add that to what I said yesterday.
Thank you, Commissioner Ono. Any other commissioners want to comment on that first request, part 1? Okay, thank you. For request part 2, what I wrote was request 2 was taken up exclusively in open session. Kansas used a survey of military housing to determine permanent versus non-permanent status for its military population. The Office of Elections expressed difficulty with this approach due to poor response rates and being at the mercy of the barrack commander's interest in cooperating with retrieval. In addition, PACOM Commander Colonel Angie Robertson communicated that PACOM's survey return rates in Hawaii approximate 10% and that there would be logistical challenges in attempting to survey soldiers who were here in 2020, now that it is 2022. After hearing this report, the commissioners voted unanimously to decline to use the Kansas methodology to supplement or inform the extraction number. Does that correctly reflect what we discussed yesterday?
Yes, Chair, and states the reasons for my vote.
Thank you, Commissioner Chipchase. Anyone else? Okay, finally, I thought just to be fair to a couple of commissioners who expressed this in open session, one who has expressed it multiple times, I just added a paragraph at the end saying, at this meeting, a couple of commissioners expressed the belief that the only real way to make data extraction a cleaner process would be to pass a constitutional amendment like Kansas that no longer requires it. So I know that there are a couple of commissioners who really feel that, so I did add that to the text of the letter to reflect their opinion. So if that sounds okay with everybody, I will complete this letter at the close of this meeting and reply to the Senate committee on behalf of our entire commission. Okay, thank you, mahalo. Appreciate you allowing me to take that out of order just to make sure that we had a quorum to discuss it. We will now move back to the normal order of the agenda and agenda item 3, public testimony. A list of testifiers who have submitted their name before the meeting has been added to the chat. As technical issues may arise, we will give each testifier a few moments to try and resolve any connection issues. However, if the issues cannot be resolved, we will have to move on to the next testifier. If you would like to testify, please click raise hand under reactions on Zoom. If you are joining us by phone, please press *9. When recognized, please unmute your microphone before speaking. You may also turn on your video at that time. For the record, please state your first and last name and items you will be testifying on. For those testifiers joining us by phone, we will not have your name and will be identifying you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. To ensure that we will have sufficient time to hear all testimony, each testifier will have 3 minutes to testify. Once your time has expired, you will be asked to conclude your remarks. During public testimony, the commissioners will also be muted, but may unmute themselves to ask any questions. Will the secretary please announce the first testifier?
The first testifier is Kimeona Kane, followed by Ralph Boye.
Okay.
It's a little choppy. I'm sorry, Kimeona, we're unable to hear you, but we will remember to come back to you at the end of testimony and try again. So for now, we're going to move on to Ralph Boye, followed by Mia-Lisa Otis.
Good morning, commissioners. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Thank you very much. My name for the Ralph Boye. I want to applaud your perseverance for all of the commissioners and Office of Election staffs for attending these numerous meetings. Today, I want to take a slightly different approach. I live in Puna, and I want to speak to House District 3. Why do people live in Puna? You know, I moved to the Big Island in 1974. I got a job with the state of Hawaii. I couldn't afford to live in Hilo. So we moved to Orchid Land and we built our home in Orchid Land in 1976. I've been here ever since. Like many Puna residents, we moved here because it's the only place we could afford to live. I've been here 46 years and I love it. I'm not a city person, I'm a country person. I want a representative who feels the same way, someone from my community. Now, what's the difference between the HRC House District 3 and the Boye Community Plan Version 2 House 3? The HRC plan goes from Hilo to Orchid Land, Hawaiian Acres, and Fern Acres. The Boye plan goes from the agricultural area of Mac Farms to Keao, Orchid Land, Hawaiian Acres, Fern Acres, Eden Rock, Fern Forest, Royal Hawaiian Estates, and Mauna Loa Estates. What's the difference in living in these places? Well, in Hilo, they have paved roads that are maintained by the state and the county. And the subdivisions I just mentioned, these are mostly unpaved roads. They're owned by the people who live in the subdivision. And there's a lot of strife relating to the maintaining of those roads. In Hilo, they have county water. We have catchment water. Hilo has sewer lines. We have cesspools, septic tanks, and other alternative waste treatment methods. Hilo all has telephone lines. Not everywhere out here are there telephone lines. Hilo has electricity everywhere. Not everywhere out here has electricity. Many people out here choose their own alternate power sources. Hilo has high-speed internet. It's rarely available where we live. People often suffer using DSL. House lots in Hilo are from 8 to 10,000 square feet. Out here, the common house lots are 1 to 3 acres. That's 45,000 to 135,000 square feet. There are many subdivisions here with 20-acre lots. The people in Hilo live in close proximity to numerous shopping alternatives. There's limited shopping in Keao and Pahoa, and most residents live 3 to 15 or more miles away from those shopping centers. The HRC plan overlaps Senate District 1 and 2 into House 3. This is not necessary. The community plan has House 3 entirely within Senate 2. The current proposed is not much different. Thank you.
The next testifier is Mia Lisa Otis, followed by Richard Fiddleman.
Good morning. My name is Mia Lisa Otis. I'm listening that you guys have declined the military count and the student count. And I was wondering if you guys had also considered the workers, the people that live here or are residents of Hawaii, but they're out of state working, and vice versa, people that are coming in to work for a year. Just something to think about. In that, the maps are still unconstitutional. The Senate line should match House District 51 and stop at Makapu Point. Please also listen to the other communities of Pearl City, Mililani, Big Island, and Papakolea. You are silencing the voices of Native Hawaiians, which are rising to vote, just like they silence the voices of Native Americans on the continent. Please stop crisscrossing the lines on the House maps and the Senate district maps. I would like the Reapportionment Commission to show us a detailed comparison of the aligned Oahu Senate plan with the technical committee's Oahu Senate plan. Mahalo.
The next testifier is Richard Fiddleman, followed by Kapua Madero. Moving on, the next testifier is Kapua Madero, followed by Bart Dean.
Aloha. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. I want to thank you again for this process and for hearing our Waimanalo voices and fixing our District 51. Again, I ask that you please also fix our Senate District and restore the Makapu'u borderline. It's been, like I stated yesterday, it's been over 2 decades that our voices weren't heard. And I ask that you be the first commission to boldly stand for justice and hear all of the people's voices. I also ask that you please listen to the voices of Papakolea, Mililani, Pearl City, and Puna on the Big Island, as well as other community voices. I thank you again for hearing our Waimanalo voices. And I also agree with Mia Lisa that we should be able to, we would like to see the Senate plan for Oahu aligned with the Bill Hicks plan and see how well what the difference is. Mahalo.
The next testifier is Bart Dame, followed by Ariel Murphy.
Good morning. I've got a few things to say. Let me see if I can get them all in. First, I appreciate your response to the 2 questions that were posed by the Senate Government Operations Committee. I'm a little concerned that the senators hadn't bothered to do adequate research and frankly hadn't thought things through enough when they tried to find ways to discredit the methodology used by the commission. I'm glad from David Rosenbrock's thorough presentation that he demonstrates that the methodology used by the commission is much more sophisticated than that being proposed even by Sumner LaCroix, who was a professor of mine, and I have great affection for him, and he's very eager to do town and gown things where academics come in and help address complex problems facing lawmakers. But I think in this case, he unintentionally was weaponized, and his arguments were used to try to undercut the credibility of the methodology, even though his basic logic was 180 degrees opposed to that of the senators, who essentially wanted to count as many people present in Hawaii as though they are permanent residents here. And his approach would have made it so that people who were present in other states would not be counted in their states for their reapportionment purposes. So that was 180 degrees opposite. And they hadn't bothered to research the Kansas model when they were still proposing that maybe that was a better model. Secondly, I'd like to say some brief things about the current maps. They are greatly improved from how they used to be. I'm still hoping that you can find some way to fix some problems on the Oahu maps. I noticed that both Kaneohe Town and Kailua Town are split, the town centers, not just the broader communities in the Senate maps. I'm hoping you can fix that. I'm hoping, as others have pointed out, that you can reunify Papakolea. I think that was inadvertent. It has been done in the past. It's been split. I think possibly maybe some borders could be tweaked in order to allow it to be unified. But finally, I'd like to focus on the question of whether the House districts can fit entirely within the Senate districts. If we assume the Constitution was written by people who tried to foresee possibilities, they said, if practicable. I have a hard time seeing how it is less practicable now to when the Senate districts and the House districts line up perfectly. So two can be combined into one. That's true of the Big Island, it's true of Maui, and it's true of Oahu. If it is not practicable to follow this constitutional requirement, and it is required unless you can point for a reason as to why it is not practicable, I think it should be followed. And if it is not going to be followed, I wish you would share your explanation. All we got in the last meeting was a statement that every factor was considered and that on balance you struck what you thought was the most practical balance of criteria. So why not this criterion? Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing the answer.
The next testifier is Ariel Murphy, followed by Kimeona Kane. Okay, moving on. The next testifier is Kimeona Kane, followed by Maki Morinoi.
Aloha ali'i, can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, mahalo. Aloha nui kako, o wau no Kimeona Kane no Waimanalo Maiau. Aloha
Raise
Chair
hands.
Mawiki, Commissioners, Kimeona Kane here from the Waimanalo Neighborhood Board, as well as the Waimanalo community. I just wanted to again reiterate the Waimanalo Neighborhood Board's appreciation for the change to House District 51 back to Makapu'u as a boundary marker and a boundary line. We still would like to request that the commission take into consideration the change of Senate District 25, as it would better represent the community that we live in, as well as give our elected official an opportunity to focus in on just the two communities opposed to now three very different communities. And so we're asking that the commission again take a look at that and see where that is possible to do and reverse the 20 years that we've been kind of sandwiched between Kailua and Hawaii Kai. On a personal note, Chair, I would like to just ask the commission to continue to hear the voices of the communities, some of which that may or may not be here today. The Papakolea community, who again, as several have pointed out, may have been an inadvertent change, but is very practicable to change back and to make adjustments in other places. Our Pearl City community is still reaching out and needing that kako'o, that support to help fix their lines, Mililani, as well as our Puna district. I think there's been incredible opportunities for the commission to consider the public testimonies and voices of reason. It seems to make sense. It seems doable. Bill Hicks has proven that. The Boyar Plan has proven that. That there is ways to do it with hearing the community's voice. And I'll have to agree with Bart Dame. I think we as the public should have a little bit more understanding of why the decisions were made in the certain ways if the commission continues to find that it was not practicable, when in the majority of the people that are here paying attention to it and present can see that it is possible, and it has been demonstrated for the commission through other people's maps. Again, thank you for the process and allowing us to be present in this, and your folks' hard work and the commitment to the public. I appreciate you folks taking a stand against the senators who, seem to just bully their way into trying to impact the changes there. And wanna mahalo the community for continuing to show up and to be present in this conversation, as this will impact the next 10 years of all of our lives in some capacity. So mahalo nui auko, thank you guys so much. Please continue to work towards the community's voices and recognize that it is very possible. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, public. Mahalo nui.
Okay, the next testifier is Maki Morinoi, followed by Larry Beret.
Aloha. Thank you, everyone, for your time. That was well stated by those folks before me. I'm here to testify for Hawaii County House District Map. I support the Boya House Map after listening in on all the meetings last night and still looking at the maps. It does completely align with all the markers to be in line with the Constitution, census regulations, and the Senate House maps fit very nicely on top of the House maps. It was designed by residents all around the island with continuous input, and I like the version 2. It keeps getting better and better, so it is possible to make a fair map. Along with just a reminder that it was also looked at by environmentalists to understand the watershed impact. So I strongly support it, and I hope we can move towards these better maps. Mahalo. Thank you, everybody, for testifying today.
The next testifier is Larry Beret, followed by Ariel Murphy.
Good morning and aloha, Chair Magishi and commissioners. I'm Larry Veray, Chair of the Pearl City Neighborhood Board 21. First of all, Chair, I want to personally apologize for the negative direct comments I made at my last testimony to the commission on January 11th hearing. My comments were made out of my own personal frustration because I felt your commission was not hearing our board concerns, and there appeared to be no concern from your technical committee to help resolve our board concerns. We still have 4 Senate districts cutting up Pearl City per the technical committee's redistricting plan. We still can't figure out why the technical committee changed the border lines and moved Mililani all the way down to the H1, H2 merge, especially when a census clearly shows not even the homeless are living down there. It's 0 population. And a simple fix of this whole thing is if you use the Waiava Prison Road as the boundary, anything south of that all the way down to H1, H2 merge, give that over to District 19 Waipahu. And that way, because Waipahu has been part of our district, and they could absorb that area. That would get us down to 3 districts. Easy fix. The other issue is with Senate District 15, Salt Lake, far reaching into the Pearl City. The boundary is Kamehameha Highway. South of that is for District 15. And I understand probably the focus on the military. It appears it's focusing on the military bases, but it would much better if the technical committee would have used the historic Pearl Harbor bike trail, and we would have been satisfied with that, and then work out the numbers between 15 and 16. This is another fix, and this would get us down to 2 districts as we requested. So finally, we respect the commission technical committee members. I know you guys are putting in long hours during the week, the evenings, the weekends to get all these numbers to work out. I know I wouldn't want your job doing it, but we as the Pearl City Neighborhood Board request your help to keep Pearl City limited to 2 Senate districts. We agree with your House district plan. It's fine. And this is my 4th and last testimony. Mahalo and thank you to all of you.
The next testifier is Ariel Murphy.
Aloha and good morning to everybody. I'm Ariel Murphy from Puna of the Big Island. I would like to speak about House District 3. In yesterday's hearing, all the provisions of Article 4, Section 6 of the Hawaii State Constitution were read. Also during yesterday's hearing, I heard a remark that those constitutional provisions are subject to interpretation. That's correct. Interpreting the law is nothing unusual. It happens all the time. And a tool often used in interpreting the law is to discern the intent of the law. Why was the law made? What was its intended purpose? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that the obvious intent of Article 4, Section 6, Number 7, which says, quote, where practicable, submergence of an area in a larger district wherein substantially different socio-economic interests predominate, comma, shall be avoided. Why? What is the intent behind that? Article 4, Section 6, Number 7 is obviously connected to that part of our Constitution, Constitution's very own preamble, which is our manao, the very spirit of our Constitution. And it says, we reserve the right to control our destiny, to pursue, to nurture the integrity of our people and culture, and to preserve the quality of life that we desire. We reaffirm our belief in a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. End of quote. My questions. Question number 1. When the HRC plan lumped rural and agricultural zoned Upper Puna with the residential and commercial zoned Hilo, is the HRC in effect perpetuating a continuing violation not only of Article 4, Section 6, Number 7, but also the very preamble that enshrines the spirit or the manao that is the foundation of our state constitution? Question 2, in merging a chunk of rural Puna and its pothole-ridden roads with urban Hilo and its asphalted roads and other city amenities, are the residents of, say, Hawaiian Acres or Fern Acres or Orchid Land up in Mountain View able to exercise their collective right? Thank you.
The next testifier is Gordon.
Hello, I'm Gordon Aoyagi, a resident of Honolulu, and I reside in Manoa. And I'm an interested citizen and have submitted oral and written testimony. I was going to just restate my written testimony today, but I urge you to read my written testimony. In summary, it indicated that I am pleased with the responsiveness of the commission in making certain adjustments in the recent technical committee's plan for the House District. I also urge that you make adjustment in 4 areas, Papakolea, Ni'ilani, Pearl City, and Waikele, to be responsive to the community concern we had. Making those adjustments in those 4 areas, I believe, would lead to both a commission and community agreement and stipulation that the House District redistricting plan not only is responsive, but it also meets all the conditions of the Hawaii Constitution in large part. Making that first step to accept the House District's proposal for Oahu then allows you to take the next step, which is to have 2 House districts wholly within 1 Senate district. The timing is propitious in that the 2020 census gave Oahu 34 House districts and 17 Senate districts. The math is very compelling that you can get 2 House districts within 1 Senate district. But I think it's more important that what you are hearing now is the passion and the intensity of the people. And I find it very interesting that the public's argument is trying to get the commission to comply with the rule of law, the Hawaii State Constitution. The commission seems to assert that it's more complicated than that, and they use the term where applicable as a convenient way to get out of applying the law. But the term where practicable also has foundations in legal, commercial, as well as employment law in terms of coming to the conclusion that what decision you are making is fair and reasonable. So I also think I urge you to make sure that whatever decision you make does meet that test of being fair and reasonable and as articulated in a manner that the public can understand. What you are witnessing, I see, is a resurgence of democracy at the local level, and I'm pleased that that's happening here in Hawaii. I hope you make decisions to help facilitate and encourage and engage that over the next 10 years and not ignore the community concerns. Thank you.
Chair, there are no further testifiers.
Thank you very much, everyone, for providing your testimony today. Also, thanks to those who submitted written testimony. The commissioners do read all of the written testimony that's provided, so we appreciate that. We'll now move on to the next agenda item 4, consideration of public testimony regarding modified final legislative and congressional reapportionment plans recommended by the Technical Committee Permitted Interaction Group. As a reminder, the meetings we've been holding this week are to hear and consider public testimony on the modified proposed final legislative and congressional plans recommended by the Technical Committee Permitted Interaction Group. We will not be holding a vote today, and action will be considered at subsequent meetings. Just a reiteration of the timeline I mentioned yesterday, we have one more such commission meeting tomorrow on Saturday besides today to hear public input. After that, the Technical Committee is meeting again to consider whether there will be any changes to the proposed plans, proposed maps, and final proposed maps will be presented at the January 26th meeting. And as we discussed yesterday, the Technical Committee will continue to follow all 8 requirements of the state constitution, Article 4, Section 6 of the Constitution, as they are required to do in drawing these maps. So commissioners, I just wanted to allow a time, and if any of you want to discuss in any way the public testimony regarding the modified final legislative and congressional reapportionment maps, either testimony we've heard today or yesterday. Okay. Mahalo. If not, we will move on to the next agenda item, reports by the apportionment advisory councils. We have invited each advisory council, Hawaii, Maui, Kauai, and Oahu, to provide feedback on matters affecting redistricting for each basic island unit. We have planned to allow each advisory council to present at our commission meetings. Would any advisory council like to present? Okay, thank you. No advisory council met yesterday, and they are not scheduled to meet today or tomorrow. So with that, we'll move on to the next agenda item. So we took agenda item 6 out of order, so that is completed. And so now we move on to our last agenda item, which is adjournment. So thank you for participating in today's meeting. Again, we will be having another one of these public testimony commission meetings tomorrow. So look forward to seeing everyone there. But for today, there is no further business. So is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move, Chair.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Ono and a second by Commissioner Chun. Is there any further discussion? If not, Ali, can you please take the vote?
Commissioner Trip Chase,
Aye.
Commissioner Chun,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy is excused, Commissioner Nakota,
Aye.
Commissioner Nishimura,
Aye.
Commissioner Nonaka is excused, Commissioner Ono,
Aye.
Commissioner Rathbun is excused, Chair Muguichi.
Aye,
Chair, the motion carries.
thank you. Mahalo, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.